Well, good afternoon. You thought I was going to say good morning. Usually I do these videos in the morning, my little in-shop walk and talk type of a thing, but no, we just got done out here. Wasn't out here so much today. Oliver was out here working, and my wife was in the office there doing some things. I was working on sermon notes, getting some research done, getting caught up on a few things and whatever else, so I got 2 different sermon notes done. And but I just want to talk about the thing I saw a little while ago. There was this whole thing of Melania Trump, and she's there walking through the White House, and there's a robot walking along beside her. And, the Lord kind of revealed something to me, and I thought, all robots are created to replace people, 100%. And I'm not going to get into some kind of philosophical argumentation. Well, let's take the exception to overthrow the rule here. There are some jobs that a robot should replace a person and whatever. I get it. You can get into all the little arguments and whatever, but by and large, the vast majority of robots are being created to replace people, and it's a bad thing. Just like artificial intelligence. Just heard a statistic today that they're saying that we need to have, I think the power grid has to be amplified 3 times over what it currently is, so that we have enough power for the artificial intelligence system that they want to create. At some point in time, people have to wake up to this opium pipe dream of we can wage wars in other countries, 850 Patriot missiles, we need billions and billions of dollars, 1.3 million every minute or something like this, and we're just going to be spending and spending and spending, and that's fine, and we're going to increase electricity, and we're going to bring jobs here to America, and we're going to do all this. At some point in time, people have to say, you know what, I think this is just being lied to or something here, okay? And of course, as a Bible-believing preacher, I look and I say, you know what, America's not in Bible prophecy, and I can see why, as from scientifically understanding economics and some things about the military. My understanding is limited there because I was never in the military, but I've studied it plenty. And I can see there's some real bad things about this country and about the direction we're going. But of course, as a preacher, I can come along and I can read Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. The revelation of Jesus Christ to the nation of Israel is what this book is about. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15 says here, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This whole thing of everything has rights and you don't dare say anything. If you speak against a Jew, you're anti-Semitic. If you say anything about a black person or whatever, well, you're a racist. You say something about a woman, or you're a sexist, misogynist, whatever, chauvinistic, all this stuff. And I've already seen some things where, you're not supposed to say anything against artificial intelligence or robots. They have rights too. No, they don't. No, they don't. Okay? It's a machine. It's a stupid machine. Don't you say anything against my lathe in the comment section, or I'm going to get you in trouble because it's a white lathe. You see, it's a jet lathe, and how dare you be racist? It's a machine. It doesn't have any feelings. Give me a break. Well, AI can learn to have feelings. No, it can't. It doesn't have a conscience from God. And that's why when you have Project Maven and all the satanic stuff over there in Israel, the Where's Daddy and the Gospel and I can't think of the other one right now. But, and we're going to have artificial intelligence pick targets and just blow people up. That's a problem. AI has no conscience. And I realize if you're a military goon, that's a good thing. You don't want something to have, a weapon system to have a conscience. You want soldiers, you train them to get rid of their conscience and just shoot. Shoot, it's the enemy. He's got a uniform on. Kill him. Never mind the fact that he has a wife and children, or he's a son or a boyfriend or whatever. Doesn't matter. You don't think about the enemy. You just go and kill the guy. Well, that's the way war is, Denlinger. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. But the fact is, the wars are being fought for corporations, not to keep people free. Give me a break. But just wanted to put this out here and just to get this thing said. A lot of things that I say in my videos are just, as a preacher, I need to put this thing out there so God's judgment, you know, it's kind of a thing. If I just keep silent about it, then I feel like I'm taking part in the evil, and I need to say something against it. So, all robots are evil, period. There's no such thing as a positive robot. That's my feeling on the matter. You can argue if you want to about it, but you're never going to get me to agree. I recently saw that Robert Breaker, Faker Breaker, with his fake almost 800,000 subscribers, please. And yet his video views aren't that much more than mine. In fact, mine are oftentimes more than him. And I have 110,000 subscribers, whatever. But I saw he's using artificial intelligence now. Chick Publications is using artificial intelligence in their newsletters that they send out. Breaker is using AI-generated images of himself. That's a no-go for me, okay? I have major questions about somebody that does that. I'm never going to use AI, ever. If you ever see AI associated with me, it's not me doing it. I will, I'm not going to swear or anything. We're not supposed to do that as Christians according to the scriptures, but I will promise you on my word and my honor as a preacher that I will never use AI, ever, because I hate it. I can't stand the thought of it. I use a Windows 7 computer. As long as you keep your drivers updated, they work fine. But I can't stand Windows 10. I have a Windows 10 laptop. I hook it up to the internet. It makes me go crazy. All the stuff popping up and everything else. Ugh, you know, I'd rather deal with the Windows 7 Windows 7 desktop computer. But having said all that, I'm going to end this with kind of a positive thing here. We're going to show you a video that was actually recorded before the Too Good for the Fire video, and making some finials for the top of some bird feeders that we made. And Oliver and I worked on it. And so you're going to get to see some more of the lathe there. And so that's my thought on the whole robot thing. Hate the whole idea of robots. I think it's a terrible thing that's happening. I think a lot of jobs and a lot of things have been taken away. And they're going to use robots to replace people like us. And so I'm going to make it my purpose in life to do things that robots can't do, like be creative. Robots are not creative. They're just not. And I remember, I'll just tell you this story quick. Many years ago, there was a chair shop and they wanted me to make a replica from a book on historic furniture from the 1700s. And I made a perfect replica of this one spindle that was on a chair, this historic chair. Perfect replica, exactly to the length they needed and the diameter and everything else. And they had this $35,000 computerized lathe. And at the time, my lathe that I was using was my old Delta right here, 12-inch swing, 36 inches between centers. And I made the spindle on that lathe, and their $35,000 computerized replicator lathe could not replicate what I did with my hand tools. These tools over here. Okay, they couldn't get into the sharp V grooves and do the beads correctly and everything else. Funny how that works. $400 lathe, a couple $1,000 in tools, and they couldn't replicate what I was doing with the $35,000 lathe. So don't tell me that there's going to be some AI bot or something that can turn wood and whatever else. This shop here exists to do things the analog way, the old-fashioned way. And my preaching is always going to be that way too. I'm not going to have AI help me with video editing or whatever else. So, but that'll be it for this video. And I'm going to play the wood turning video here at the end so you can enjoy that. All right, we're going to be finishing off these bird feeders that Oliver and I have been working on. Back when we moved to Maine in 2014, we bought an old house up in the town of Bridgewater, and they like to tip the jug a little bit, I guess, and these were some of the alcohol bottles that they had left. Both I think were wine bottles or something. They apparently like to drink a lot of it. A gallon here, and I don't know if this is probably a half gallon, this green one here. But I've kept these things since 2014, so it's 2026 now, so quite a few years. And I've kept these, cleaned them up, and I've been wanting to make a bird feeder out of them. The way you do this is you have a little screw down here, right there, and you make it so that the screw goes up into the mouth of the jug, and then it sits there, and then the bird seed slowly comes out. And you put these dowel rods up in here, so you kind of just slide it up in like this. Try not to drop the thing. And then it sits on that little lip right there, and then the bird seed just comes out, and the birds can fly in here and get that, and it works pretty good. This is all scrap lumber that we use. These dowels were here when we got the place. So scrap alcohol containers, which we'll be repurposing for bird feeders, and scrap lumber. And we actually got the screws from here too. The screws were left over. They were over there on the shelf. Same kind of an idea here on this one. It goes up and then it comes down and out. And what I did with this one in particular, I did on both, but I actually turned these on the lathe, these blocks of wood up here, and what I did is I made a recessed area right there so that the top of this, it has that kind of a little edge there, and that goes up in to that, like that, so it sits up inside. So what we're going to do is I used a screw chuck for these. So if you look at the top, you can see there's a little hole right there in the center. So I could just leave it like that. I could put something in there or cover it over, but I'm actually going to make it kind of a little bit fancy. I'm going to turn a little finial on there, this little fancy little finial for there. And so I'm going to get these things out of the way. I'll put these over here. You know what, I'm just going to put them on the floor. I don't want them to fall over. Don't mess with them, Luther. But so I'm going to turn a little wood turn finial for the top there, but I'm going to need a hole in the center of this to line it up with that hole right there, so I can run a screw up through here, through there, and into here. So, and this also, these maple little cylinders here, he's got a whole bag of these. So I guess he bought them from somebody, or I don't know what the deal was, but they make really nice little tops and things, small little spindles, which I'll be showing how to do that. So let's get this thing moved over to here. Now what we're going to need to do, first and foremost, is we have to get the live center out of the tailstock here. So you take your knockout bar, I don't know if you can see this, but you get the live center out for now. Stick that over here. And then you have to install the chuck and the tailstock. Bring this thing in this way so we can see it, like that. Bring this in here this way a little bit. Then you just want to take, because it's a Morse taper that holds that in, so you just give it a little whack like that to tighten it. But I'm going to chuck this drill bit into there. Like that. Tighten it. And now we take this chuck. I think it's a Vic Mark or something. Chuck I've had many. Bought this back in the 1990s, so that's been for a while. And you just turn it onto here. Little trick that I learned many years ago. You just take a little piece of plastic right there, and you can actually, I just use an old milk jug, and that keeps the metal from seizing when it gets hot from friction. And it doesn't seize in the sense like you can't get it off or anything, but I can get it. This is a spindle lock over here that I'm doing, so just do that, tighten it, and then you're done with that. And then I want to put this in here, and you want to true up the cylinder, make sure it's not lopsided in there. Okay, it's a little bit that way. That's pretty good right there. Get it trued up, tighten it down, Now what we'll do is, you know what, I'm not going to bother truing that, I don't need to. I'm just going to come in here with the drill, and it's probably going to squeal like crazy, so get ready for that. And no, you stay over there. Stay over there. Oliver's my cameraman today. So I have to plug this in. I always work better with electricity. So turn up the speed. And just don't have that real tight. Just go in. Trying to get it all done there with one go. Back in again. Finish off the hole. It's pretty flat there, so we should be okay with that. I don't want to go too much because you'll shut that down. If you go too much back this way, this will go back out your chuck. So now we just take this thing out of here. I'll quickly do the other one. So they're both done. And get that pretty good. Pretty good. Tighten it. And now we'll bring the chuck in here again. Drill this hole. Therefore, it's probably going to be really hot there. So you have to get the shavings cleared. Tighten down your tailstock. Put it back on again. A little bit more chatter, but it'll be all right. And burning pretty good. Alright, that does it for that. All you have there is the, why is it smoking? Well, it's be smoking because the friction of the drill bit going in there. You can do it little bits at a time, but I'm kind of trying to do this thing quickly. So, shouldn't need the tailstock for this thing here, so I'm just going to take that out of there. Get rid of this drill bit. And we're going to have to reverse this thing. Ouch. So let's get this thing, oops, that's tightening this way. You want to get your safety glasses, Oliver, because we're going to be turning it now. Again, we have to true it up. That's pretty good. Now what we'll do is we will use a roughing gouge to make sure that it's properly trued up and balanced and everything, and then we'll start to work on the shape. So here we go. Okay. Now you can see it's smooth. It's not going like that at all. You want to true it up so you get a good balance to it and things. And when you turn wood, if you're not familiar with this, you want to look at the upper edge, not where your tool is actually doing the cutting. So now I'm going to get the form to what I want. All right, now we're ready to screw the finial on top of this bird feeder. But first, make sure you put your wood turning tools back in the rack, because some kind of Murphy's Law or something, if your wood turning tools fall, they always go down right on the tip onto the concrete floor, which is a problem. So put these turning tools away, and they're good and safe, because you want good sharp turning tools, not dull ones. All right, so now, before you put this in, a good way to do this, I learned this many years ago, older man taught me this. This is a piece of beeswax. And you want to get some of that beeswax on these threads, and it will help to lubricate the threads as they go in, and the screw will turn in easier. Now, I'd let you borrow this, but the fact is, it's none of your beeswax. The old saying goes, if you haven't heard that. So, let's get this thing started in this hole in the top of this thing. And we just want it to just come through so I can get it centered on here. I think I'm going to use the fancy finial. They're both kind of fancy, but I'm going to put this one on this one here. Like that. And there we go. That's good and strong. You can pick it up by that thing now. The finial. There it is. Pretty fancy, huh? So let's get the bottle of that. We're going to put that's the, oh yeah, okay, got that one on. So let's get the bottle in this one, like that. Lift it up and set it down. There it is. It won't come out now because it has a screw in the bottom, and there. So actually lift it up from the finial. It's maple. Now let's do the other one. Won't take long. So this one here, we'll get this and slide it out this way. Don't want it to come out, so I made it a little bit tight. Put our bottle back here on the bandsaw table. And now you can kind of see the concave nature of this here, so that the jug there can go up in somewhat when you go to put it on. So let me get my beeswax out. Screw lubricated good. That works with construction stuff and whatever else. It's pretty neat, actually. Of course, you could do this by hand, but it's just quicker with the cordless drill. And there we have it. All right, let's get the jug here. Stick it in this way. And down onto there. There you go. There it is with a fancy finial on top. Here's the other one. So we'll be mounting our bird feeders for our birds that we have in the area. And hopefully you've enjoyed the video. And as always, thank you very much for watching.